People, this is Socrates Son. Today I will try to describe what's wrong with the pro-Palestine movement and why they are just a toxic kind of movement that doesn't offer any solutions. Instead, is on the way of Palestinian well-being and the well-being of the world. And for doing that, I will
in Israel.
I will respond to a debate, very interesting debate, that at least has a formidable opponent from the pro-Palestine side that is not a complete imbecile.
To say, like,
and Israel,
your what you equal rights and whatnot.
Of Jewish and Palestinian that if you gave citizenship to everybody who lived under Israeli rule right now, if you let in, I think, any number of refugees who are realistically likely to take that offer and come back now, what that would give you would be approximately equal numbers of Jewish and Palestinian citizens.
No, and now with right of return, it would be more.
Yeah, I think that's because you're making unrealistic assumptions about how many people would take that up. But let's say, for the sake of argument,
okay.
Well, no, I think you are. But they have
there's 3.5 million in West Bank. There's 2.1 million in Gaza. That alone, with the about 2 point something million in Israel, already is more than how many Jews are in Israel. So you're wrong. Even if one person took right of return, it would still be over 50%.
Yeah, so remember the word I used there was approximately. They have, and you're saying over 50%, over 50%.
Oh, you use the word approximately. So, okay. So, if the Arabs are more than Israel and they take over the state of Israel and make it a jihadi state and genocide all the Jews, what you will say? But I did say approximately. And that's exactly the point. Okay. The naiveness of how these intellectuals speak shows what is the core of the issue that I will explain later on.
Percent does not contradict approximately, but regardless.
Right,
who the fuck cares if it doesn't contradict? Ella, continue.
Starts, let alone birth rate. That's what I'm saying.
So they have. So what you're talking about, right, is a situation. By the way, Judaism would still be the plurality of religion because they're Palestinian Christians, and those principles. So the question is, hypothetically, right, if you had. And by the way, to get this to happen, you would have to assume that that Palestinians who are already citizens of Israel, like, secretly long to impose this, like, Islamic theocracy where Jews would have dhimmi status, but they have
This guy still doubts that. Okay.
Is a fascinating assumption if we're just helping ourselves to that. But ultimately, the reason I'm so unmoved by this is the reason that I would have been so unmoved if we were having a conversation in the 1980s about South Africa. You said, oh, well, if there was, if you let all the black people in South Africa vote, what would happen if they, eventually voted discrimination against white people? And what I would say in both cases is the same thing, that I'm very unmoved by saying, because of a possible hypothetical future scenario, which, despite the fact,
just based on history. And
well,
reality.
no, it's not.
Is it hypothetical?
Listen to this guy. Let me read you a statement that describes these people. Okay. So now he's talking about the livelihood and literally the death or survival of a whole peoples. Okay, he's talking about the survival of the Jewish state and whether millions will be genocided. And he talks in terms like, hey, we don't really know, but I'm not really convinced, and I'm not convinced in this kind of argument. Are you serious, dude? Okay, so these are ideologues, not pragmatists. And I've made a text trying to describe the psychopathology of these fools. Okay, so the text I made is this. Pro-Palestine liberals end up harming the well-being of both Palestinians and Israelis. They remain committed to a solution, in quote marks, that is not grounded in pragmatism, but in an ideological globalist utopia. Ideologues make poor politicians because they assume the best way to handle real-world problems is to prioritize abstract principles and expect society to simply follow. So as long as they make their abstract Platonic principles of equality and fairness, he thinks that society will just follow. In practice, this almost never works. Instead, it produces conflict and destruction. Their approach stubbornly ignores facts on the ground, accurate historical context, and the powerful roles that ideology and religion play in human behavior, exactly as we saw with this guy. These realities are set aside in favor of an utopian neo-Marxist moral principles. Human attitudes are explained almost exclusively through grievances about human rights and economics, exactly what this guy is doing, while deeper drivers are overlooked. This outlook is rooted in anti-Western bigotry, white guilt, post-colonial and other crackpot neo-Marxist theories that are unfortunately well received by the well-intended ignorant mind. So that's why his speech is popular, because a person who are ignorant and cannot perceive the shallow implications, these things sound appealing because they have a veil of humanitarianism, a facade of humanitarianism. In theory, in an utopic world, the words sound humanitarian, but in practice, you just bring another terrorist state. That has nothing to do with human rights. Okay, so your solution in practice means that you will make a Hamas and IRGC run terrorist states where all Jews will be genocide and all Christians will be prosecuted, and then all the area will be siege. All the Middle East will be upside down. You just make another terror. You replace a liberal democracy with all the innovations, all the good to humanity the Israeli society brings, which is huge, guys. I was watching a documentary about how the Israelis are transforming the land. So they are not only doing good as a in the political sense, being against the dictators and jihadis, they are also evolving the land. So they are making they are bringing water, they are making the land, they are cultivating the land. Okay, so you will replace this country with innovations, with bringing water and vegetation to the area, and you will destroy all this to bring what? Another jihadist state run by the IRGC in practice.
No, it's not. This is first off. He keeps deflecting.
It's literally hypothetical. That's what hypothetical means. You're saying that that if we do this, I think this happens.
Debates get into hypothetical all the time, but your argument right now, one for the 10th time deflecting to South Africa when there's clear differences.
It's not deflection.
Yes, it is. In fact, South Africa. The reason the uprising happened was racism. In Israel, that's not the case. You are bringing a false analogy, a straw man, in order to pretend that the reason for the Palestinian conflict is because Israelis are racist and all this other neo-Marxist bullshit. So you do, in fact, make a straw man, a false analogy. Okay, that just reveals your mindset, your neo-Marxist stupidity. You are doing that. Okay, so unlike South Africa, that was a true apartheid because of racism, okay, Israel is an apartheid because of security reasons. Okay, not because of racism. That's a huge difference. So that what is the difference? That if you have the narrative that Israel is an apartheid because of racism, what you do, you just teach Israelis not to be racist anymore, and you take out the apartheid, the barriers. Okay, and yet, because it was never because of racism, and it was in fact because of security, if you do that, what will happen? Yes, more terrorist attacks, and more response by the Israelis, and more Palestinian children dead, and you will say again, oops, and you find then you will accuse against Israel instead of your stupidity.
So funny, when I brought up Jordan for a reason, it was a problem.
I'm sorry, but that's whataboutism. That's where you're saying, let's not talk about what Israel has done. Let's talk about the bad things these other people have done.
You are a total buffoon. So let's go a little bit back.
Political Islam is like death to the infidels. But I've been told that some of the people that attacked on October 7th were actually working for those Israeli families. And then they're like, see, we were working with them. They were in our homes. And look, they came and killed us. We can't have peace with these people.
I just want to say, because I just want to finish what I was saying real quick, and then we can shift to that.
Yeah.
The admittance of that it is a complex issue and it is unique, which we both agree with, and I think anyone who's, unless they're insane, agrees with that. That complexity itself shows, right, that there are more than just like simple answers to this, and there are complex answers, and so therefore it is understandable for some people in Israel to say, like, hey, this is why I don't want to annex. There's a lot of people who don't want a two-state solution that also say, but a one-state solution does have a lot of problems. In fact, there's something called the Emirates Plan by Dr. Mordecai Kader, which is like he calls it the 8-state solution. There's a lot there. Of course, you understand that, but I don't mind shifting. I just wanted to get that out, that this complexity, it has to be acknowledged.
Yeah, I think that, again, I think that people want to say, oh, it's so complicated, because that's an evasion. It's an evasion of a really simple moral issue that flows from a principle that, again, I think we would all agree on in every other context. And I think that principle has very clear implications here, just like it did in South Africa, for example, right? You cannot rule over non-citizen subjects for decade after decade after decade. Nothing could justify that. Okay. That is the absolute moral baseline, and I do not see a lot of complexity there.
You are a fucking moron. So you present a complex issue with a neo-Marxist binary, simplistic, simpleton approach. Okay, you misrepresent a jihad being a human rights issue, which is not. And let me read you again what I wrote, which describes this moron perfectly and why these people are completely useless. For this, useless is an understatement. They are in fact the problem. These people are the problem, just as Hamas. Hamas and these people, that's why they are allies, the best allies, because they are both ideologues. They are not pragmatists, and they both are anti-Western bigots. They are against obviously the West, and they are dogmatists. Okay, so although jihadists and neo-Marxists don't agree on how they see the world in the long term, they both share the same obsessive hatred against the West. That's why they unite. So now let me read you again what I wrote and how perfectly I describe these fools. Pro-Palestine liberals end up harming the well-being of both Palestinians and Israelis. They remain committed to a solution that is not grounded in pragmatism, but in an ideological globalist utopia. Ideologues make poor politicians because they assume the best way to handle real-world problems is to prioritize abstract principles and expect society to simply follow, exactly as this moron said. This issue is simple. We just need to put forward, my humanitarian narratives, and society, the moralized principle, the simplistic moral solution I have in my head, and society will simply follow. That's false. In practice, this almost never works. Instead, it produces conflict and destruction. Their approach stubbornly ignores facts on the ground, like this moron did. Oh, it's very simple. You don't need to think all the other things. Facts on the ground, accurate historical context, so they misrepresent history, and the powerful roles of ideology and religion as they play in human behavior. These realities are set aside in favor of an utopian, neo-Marxist, moralized outlook. Human attitudes are explained almost exclusively through grievances, as this moron did, about human rights and economics. So according to him, all his grievances about human rights and economics. No ideology, no religion, no historical context, no facts on the ground. While deeper drivers are overlooked, this outlook is rooted in anti-Western bigotry. He is an anti-Western bigot. Okay, if you see him, okay, he already went to South Africa to blame the West. Okay, it's quite obvious. If you see his other stuff, he's clearly an anti-Western bigot. He has white guilt, and he believes in the crackpot neo-Marxist theories of post-colonial and all this kind of bullshit that are unfortunately well received by the untrained, well-intended, ignorant mind. So these narratives are popular because the people who are not, engaged in this debate, and they don't know the history, and they don't know these simplistic, simpleton explanations are appealing because they have the facade of humanitarianism. We all want one state with all people to be equal. Yes. Okay, that sounds beautiful. Yes. One state with all people being equal. You will bring all the jihad in the state to be equal. What will happen next? In theory, it was lovely. In practice, what will happen? Yes. In practice, the jihadists will be more than the Jews, and they will genocide every single Jew. And they will prosecute and expel Christians from the birthplace of Jesus. This would happen in reality. In the neo-Marxist moralized while he's masturbating in the toilet, all will be equal in one state and all will be nice because Plato said so. When he's masturbating and he wants to virtue signal, everything is nice. But these fools, the only thing they achieve is to bring suffering to this world. Okay, so that's why okay. Enough. Let's see. Watch this moron.
Okay. So, all right. We've got the nuance of they're not a citizen, they're a citizen. You have annexed territories. It seems, and Israel, just so I understand this, Israel cannot make the majority of people in the annexed territories citizens because then it's no longer
Israel.
run by, I want to say Jews, because it seems like Israel is there to protect Jews.
Let me just ask this question.
Exactly.
Just like, more
Israel is there to protect Jews. And as the good lady said, wait, now it's not anymore, it doesn't anymore protect Jews. In fact, you make a jihadi hellhole where Jews will be slaughtered like pigs. Okay, but this, imagine guys, this is a Jewish guy. That's why I call the radical leftist mental disease as the negative side effect of our intelligence. So guys, dogma is generally the negative side effect of our intelligence. If dogma wins, the human species will simply go join the other species that are already extinct. And what a more glaring example than this idiot. He is a Jew, and his dogma, his stupidity, his neo-Marxist dogma will lead to the extermination of his kind. So, you win the Darwin Award. You were too stupid to survive, you moron. You were too stupid to survive. Okay, you win the Darwin Award.
directly, what would you be willing to? It was a one-state solution. You got your what you actually want, not your second choice. What measures would you put in to force these principles that are upheld for both sides, for that matter?
What do you mean by force those principles that are upheld? The forcing the principles would be very simple, which is that Israel would just give citizenship to the people who spent every day of their lives under Israeli rule. At that point, we're done. We've got the principle.
No.
Yes, you have the principle. What will happen next? You didn't explain. What will happen next? Are they Swedish? Maybe this guy thinks that the Swedish people give equal citizenship to Norwegian. Are you serious, my friend? What will happen next? You didn't explain. Yes, the jihadis will be more than the Israelis in Israel. So how that will affect Israel? If the jihadis are the jihadi citizens of Israel are literally more than the Israelis, what will happen to the state of Israel? What will happen to the Jews? Yeah. You haven't. So this guy doesn't have a second step thought. Only first. So if we align with the principles, that's the end. So you don't have a second step thinking, just the principles, just pleasing Plato. What about the people? So these people, ideologues, serve ideas, not people. This is what I always say. So this guy is serving an idea. He is not serving people. That's why you should never vote for these idiots. Because, first of all, as I just explained, they are not serving you. They are serving some idea, some Marxist idea. And secondly, they are literally your enemies. This guy is a Jew that hates Israel, just like the jihadis. Okay, so why you should vote? I'm talking to normal people in one country. Why you should vote your enemies? Why you should vote radical leftists like him or Owen Jones or what's the name of the guy in UK? The green guy. What's your party? Let me find, because it's interesting. Your party. Jeremy Corbyn. Okay, so people like Jeremy Corbyn hates the UK. Why on earth you should vote for him? His exclusive agenda is Palestine. Why you, being a UK citizen, should vote for someone like Jeremy Corbyn? Okay, so do you want me to prove that? Let's prove that. Updates, okay, got it. What? Sorry about that. Okay. What I'm doing now? end all military cooperation with Israel. We need rent control now. Okay. Establish in doubt that the United Kingdom is not failed act and contra British government. Okay. An apology over Gaza. What's the full interview with Democracy Now? Amazing. Thank you, Democracy Now, because Gaza, the Gaza Tribunal. You can get a copy of the. Oh, he made a book, the Gaza Tribunal. Imagine, damn, these leftists are. If the United States is bombing Iran, so now he is in favor of Iran now. Imagine voting for these traitor buffoons. Imagine, I find it, what's the word? I find it disgusting. My message, call me the Israel is illegal. No, again about Israel. Let's hear this fool.
Prestwick has been used a lot by the US, not just recently, over a very long period. I remember even the arguments about extraordinary rendition flights going through Prestwick, as well as refueling flights and so on. And then we now have the transfer of weapons to Israel going through a number of places.
So this war is totally legal. Is it totally legal? Or you're just a radical leftist buffoon? I really find this fascinating. My message, Israel is illegal occupation. Okay, let's see your message. Jeremy Corbyn, you are not, guys, sorry. Okay.
What would be your direct message to Andy Burnham on the Gaza Tribunal?
Andy, you've got a copy of the book. It'll be there on your desk if you want to read it. This shows that without a shadow of a doubt, Britain, our country, has been involved in occasioning this genocide against the Palestinians.
Without a shadow of a doubt to your 80 IQ radical neo-Marxist mind. Okay? Okay, you are a complete buffoon. Okay, so when you say without a shadow of a doubt, not if I take Jeremy, one moment, guys. Έλα, Θιουλά. Εντάξει, να περάσεις τώρα. Έλα, έρχομαι, άτσα. Γεια σας. Φεύγετε κατευθείαν τώρα για μπάνιο?
Όχι κατευθείαν.
Εντάξει, άρθα σας δω γιατί δεν θα πάω εγώ μπάνιο, θα γυρίσω σπίτι. Εντάξει, άμα σας δω λίγο και γυρίσω σπίτι εγώ. Εντάξει, έλα, τσάι. Έλα, Θιούλα μου. Έλα, μ' ακούς? Okay. Ναι, θεία, μ' ακούς? So, where were we? Jeremy, if I take this book, your book, it will be like the Quran. Not a single word will survive. Okay, even your name will not survive. Okay, so guys, if I take this Down syndrome retard, neo-Marxist radical buffoon's book, not even his name will survive. Okay, when I open the book, and I see written by Jeremy Corbyn, I will prove that this is not your name. Okay, not even your name will survive, you fucking moron. It's absolute proof, conclusive. It's conclusive. Not even your name will survive. You are just, if I make a research, not even your name. You are true. Έλα θεία. Ναι. Insanity. Okay. Okay, Jeremy, my boy. So relax, don't do it. Just relax, don't do it, my friend. Conclusive. Is it really let's hear that again.
What would be your direct message to Andy Burnham on the Gaza Tribunal?
Andy, you've got a copy of the book. It'll be there on your desk if you want to read it. This shows that without a shadow of a doubt, Britain, our country, has been involved in a case.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah.
Occasioning this genocide.
It's not a genocide. And let me prove that. Because you said without a shadow of a doubt. Isn't that what you said? So let's see if the war in Gaza is a genocide. Shall we? Okay, let's go to grow. Okay. If a people's is not targeted for who they are, but what they do, is this a genocide? No. Not if the targeting is primarily for what they do rather than who they are as members of a protected group. Under the legal definition, okay, that is not genocide. Okay, so no. So you are already refuted. So that's where is he? I don't know. So that's how much you lasted, my friend. 10 seconds. So, without a shadow of a doubt, yes, I guess your shadow is faster than 10 seconds. So, without a shadow of a doubt, and I refuted him in 10 seconds. Yeah. Okay, so now, Rodites, to conclude my video. Let's put one random song.
Και πετάω τα ρολόγια.
Και πετάω
τα ρολόγια.
Θέλω να σε ξεχάσω, μα δεν μπορώ. Κάτι μέσα μου μου λέει,
κάτι μέσα μου μου λέει.
Μια φωνή που όμως πρέπει να αρνηθώ. Όσο δυνατά κι αν καίει, όσο δυνατά κι αν καίει,
έμαθα πια στα δύσκολα να ζω.
Έψαξα ψυχήμα τώρα, έδωσα ψυχήμα τώρα.
Τίποτα σε σένα άλλο δεν χρωστώ.
Και πετάω τα ρολόγια.
Και πετάω τα ρολόγια.